Sony A9. We're going to unbox it and we're going to go over the top 10 features why you should upgrade. Stay tuned. All right, so I have the beautiful new A9 mirrorless with the very popular 85 1.4 G Master lens. This is one of their lenses that they recommend for this camera, by the way. New full frame image sensor, 24.2 megapixel. That way it allows you to work with 20 times faster readout speed because of the internal memory buffering. You have a high-speed continuous shooting up to 20 frames per second that also has AF and AE calculations up to 60 times a second. So it's almost like predictive focusing on this thing, folks. No guesswork. You have the new 693 phase detect focus points that cover 93% of the image area and of the sensor area, and you have 25 contrast AF focusing points also. The new viewfinder, this thing is fantastic. It's a Quad-VGA. It's basically a blackout-free shooting capability with this, up to 120 frames per second in video and continuously 20 frames per second raw shooting. So that's the beauty of this. There's not going to be any guesswork, even if you're trying to do some fast action track focusing. Not an issue. Of course, you have your standard 5-axis image stabilization, which is up to 5 stops. This is a feature that will always be included in the full frame cameras from Sony from now on. You have the new dual card slot system where you have a lower slot that allows you to work with the UHS 2 cards. Some of these cards that Sony is putting out on the market allow you to record up to 300 megabits per second, so this is not going to slow you down. You have the new NP-FZ100 battery. This thing is going to allow you to work up to 480 still frames on one charge. This is their new 2280 milliamp hour battery. We were waiting for it, we got it. You have a LAN connector for FTP file transfer. You have the new My Menu. This allows you to customize up to 72 different options. No more going crazy looking for the menu. You have it at your fingertip. So remember, this has a new electronic shutter. It allows you to capture images at 1/32,000th of a second. It has vibration-free technology and silent, so there's no noise incorporated with it, even though you can actually preset different noises or whatever sounds you prefer for your shutter. And the beauty of it is, being an electronic shutter, it has very minimal rolling shutter. Don't go anywhere. We have an unboxing and review coming right up. Let's take a look and see what comes inside the box. Hopefully there's a camera in here. Usually there is. Of course, the first thing you're going to find on here is Sony instructional pamphlets. Ooh, very complete help guide / instruction manual, but there's also a web manual, which it tells you how to link to it to acquire. So I'm sure that's a much more concise version. And of course, your limited manufacturer's warranty from Sony USA, which is good in USA and Canada, and of course, only if it's purchased from an authorized Sony dealer, like Digital Goja. All sorts of imprint, but let's take a look. Well, first thing that catches my attention right here is a nice neoprene, very nicely padded A9 camera strap. Nice going. That's a nice design. Over here are some more accessories. Obviously, this is so that you can maintain your USB cable securely to your camera so you don't damage any ports. And here is the new Sony battery charger. This is the BCQZ1, and it is universal voltage, as it states right there, from 100 to 240 volts. But guess what? They went with a corded design. So this one does not plug directly into the wall. So that means there should be a power cable here, and lo and behold, yes, there it is. It's underneath. So this allows you to now plug your charger to your electrical socket. And let's take a look over here, because I know that this is where there are more accessories. And absolutely, here is your USB to micro USB cable, which is going to allow you to charge in camera and also transfer data from the cable. And of course, you are receiving this adapter, which they've used before, and this is to allow you to charge directly in the camera And again, this is also universal voltage, so it will change automatically from 100 to 240 volts. So let's set that aside. And here is the new power source. Of course, Sony said that it was time to do it, and they did. This is the new NP-FZ100 lithium ion battery, which is 2,280 milliamp hours. So it's about twice the size of the original NP-FW50 that we've grown to love. But here is what we've all been waiting for. And look, Sony changed the packaging. It's a nice, bright package, still nicely wrapped up so you can get in one piece. And there it is. Voila, the new Sony A9 mirrorless full frame camera. Let's take a closer look at the features and the capabilities of this new speed monster from Sony. Now this guy comes with the 24.2 full frame stacked CMOS sensor. So this allows you to be able to shoot faster. That's why it has the capability of shooting up to 20 frames per second. Has the new BIONZ X image processor with front end LSI. And of course, you have the capability of doing uncompressed RAW files all the way up to 14-bit. But that does change depending on the speed that you're shooting. Speaking about speed, again, 20 frames per second in RAW. And in video, if you're doing full HD, up to 120 frames per second. Now, of course, it does Ultra HD at 60 frames per second internally. This is the reason why they call this guy the Speed Demons / Speed Monster. Secondly, we now have this beautiful 3-inch, 1.44 million dot touchscreen. Yes, it is a touchscreen. This came over from the A6500, so you have a touch capability for your focusing points, and so you can actually sit there and drag and focus on the points that you want. Now, you also have the new Blackout-Free Quad-VGA 3.7 million dot electronic viewfinder, OLED. This is not going to leave you hanging and leave you trying to guess on your exposure and on all your imaging, because it has zero blackout. So this is the capability of features that we weren't able to do even with DSLRs. Now, of course, it is a little bit larger body, and notice how it is, of course, their fully integrated dust-proof, weather-sealed system. You have a little bit larger grip here. I like that. That gives you a little bit more grasping capability. But you also have attachments that'll go underneath that'll allow you to extend this grip a little bit further if you have larger hands than I do. Has 5-axis image stabilization built in, which in conjunction with some of their fantastic optical SteadyShot lenses that are on the market, you will be able to capture any kind of imaging, whether you're doing video or stills, with no qualms whatsoever. Silent electronic shutter, so that's the reason why you can go all the way up to 20 frames per second. And you have a workable ISO of 204,800. Now, to be able to power all this, we have, of course, the capability of working with that new larger milliamp battery. And to be able to capture all your imaging, right on the side here is your dual card slot. Notice how on slot 1, you have for your SDXC UHS-2 version, and on slot 2 is the standard SDXC UHS-1. And of course, they still have the logo for the Sony memory stick. They're not going to give that up. That's proprietary, so you can still use those. But honestly, the reason this guy is important is because this slot right here allows you to work with some of the new Sony memory cards that are on the market that'll record up to 300 megabits per second. You still have the built-in Wi-Fi with NFC, and they now added a My Menu function that allows you to customize up to 72 different functions. But you still have your custom 1 and custom 2, and you can reprogram all this. Speaking about the way that they've redesigned the body, look at it here. There is your record button. Remember that on the previous versions it was on the side here, and people were accidentally depressing it and starting the record feature. Well, guess what? They put it in the corner here, so you won't be able to press this by accident. And they also added a button that you hold down so that you don't change your mode accidentally. And you have, notice here, 3 custom settings up here, and you have the slow and quick setting here for your firing rate. And of course on the side here is where you have your low, medium, high, and single shot capabilities. And you can also depress by holding this here, and you have the capability of changing your focusing parameters, whether you want to do manual focus or autofocus continuous or autofocus single. Screen tilts, and it is a fingerprint magnet. Notice how I already started fudging this up with fingerprints, but that's why we have magic fiber, so we can clean this off. And on the side here, let's take a closer look. There we have an Ethernet port, so that means you can hook up your LAN, so you have continuous transfer of data, and you have a PC port, so they're not leaving us old timers with the big studio strobes behind. Notice on the side here you have your headphone jack and your microphone. Notice how it says that it is plug-in power, so you have that capability available to you. And of course on this side we already saw that this is a dual card slot and your NFC chip connection, and underneath your 1/4-inch thread tripod adapter. And notice that this is made in Thailand, but again to the fantastic specifications of Sony engineering. And right on the top here you do have the multi-pin connector, so that way you have access to their existing flashes, microphones, and any other accessories that you choose from. 5-axis image stabilization, that's a constant now. That's become a standard in the industry for Sony, so they're going to continue on, including with this model. So notice that it has your 693-point AF system phase detection and 25 contrast detection points. So it's a speed demon, folks. This is going to allow you to work in any fast moving subject matter, whether you're doing ultra high definition video or stills. The A9 from Sony, it's definitely the mirrorless that is in the top of the heap now. And as a matter of fact, it's going to make a lot of us DSLR users think twice about what the capabilities of a mirrorless full frame camera are. You have to take a much closer look at the Sony Alpha A9. Well, I hope you liked this video on the new Sony A9 mirrorless. I love this camera. If you liked it, hit it up with a like button underneath and subscribe so that way you can have access to even more upcoming Sony videos. Happy shooting.